The following podcast contains coarse language and adult themes. Is everyone here? Is everyone listening? If so, then without further ado, join us as we make our way through the dungeons of Neverwinter, smelling the green, fresh-cut grass and singing with the local bards. Take a seat in your tavern of love and destiny. Make your ale cold and nice, for it's time to roll some dice. I'm Regs.
And I found my father.
And this is the Film Addicts podcast. Hey folks, and welcome back to the Film Addicts podcast. I'm here with baby Blood Axe, who's finally been reunited with his father. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing okay.
As I said, at some point, Addie's just going to take over the podcast, and I'm not going to be needed anymore. He's got these impressions down. Yes, welcome back. Second episode of season 2, after our 1-year anniversary episode. We're talking Dungeons and Dragons. Honor Among Thieves, which is some baller ass shit, honestly. It was not one of those pictures that I would have gone out of my way to see, because I remember seeing the ads for it, Addie, and I was like, what the fuck is Chris Pine doing in that? Of all things. You know what I mean? It reminded me of when Matt Damon was in The Great Wall.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's fucking bloody odd and weird. Or, you know, friggin' Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai, which I watched last night. I actually really like that movie, but it's just like, what's that white guy doing? But it's because the script's really good. But we'll get into it. Firstly, sir, how are you? What's been going on?
I'm doing good. I have, just like Babylon, I watched this movie 3 times now.
So, what, sorry? Babylon?
Yeah, just like Babylon, I have watched this movie 3 times now.
In the cinema? Of course, in the cinema, yeah. Yeah, man, it's well worth people's time. It's good. It's a good fun time. And is it better than Babylon?
No.
No. Yeah, few things are, apart from like orgasms and ice cream.
Which I got.
Time.
Yeah, I got both while watching. Nope, I'm not.
Sir, we appreciate you buying all this pistachio and hazelnut ice cream, but can you stop beating off? We know Chris Pine's attractive, but Christ, this is getting. It's so creamy back here from all of the ice cream and ejaculate. It's getting ridiculous. Okay, we're definitely in season 2 because we've gone up a level of ridiculous filth.
It's not even 5 minutes yet.
I know, it's 3 minutes, and we fucked up the roundup twice, so it's not even 4 minutes in yet. So here we are, folks. We're so happy to be back. As I said, talking Dungeons and Dragons, but what are you laughing about?
Just, you know, the cream shit with the elephant shitting in like the first 2 minutes.
2 minutes of Babylon. Yeah, well, maybe we're just on brand then, I think.
Yep.
But it's beautiful. It's wonderful. We're here to talk not secretions. It's not Secretion, the podcast. It's a Film Addicts podcast. We're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, but before we do that, we've got to do the ubiquitous, the always present. What are we
watching?
What are we watching? Who knows? Probably Dungeons and Dragons 3 times. What have you watched anything else?
I have. I went to the cinema yesterday to watch a film that's only been in IMAX. It's called Suzume. It's an anime film directed by the director who did Your Name, Weathering with You, Grave of the Fireflies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is. It's an experience.
In IMAX, no less. That's amazing.
Yeah. They stopped the movie like 20 minutes in because like I was watching the movie and the image was jittery. And sometimes you get that when it's like animated because like frame rates are different for certain things. And I was like, no, the whole image is jittery. And I went outside and I complained to them and then they fucking came in and stopped it.
Well, I mean, better than sit there and have that, you know, it just be like that. I remember when I went and saw Amsterdam, it was in the wrong ratio. It was like, yeah, this was shot anamorphically, 235, and you guys are projecting in 185, so both the sides are cut off. Can you adjust this? And she looked at me like I had just told her that she had AIDS or something. Like she was. I'm not sure, not 100% prepared for how to fix that problem, but someone managed it. So,
yeah, I remember that happened when the Zack Snyder Justice League came out, and it was like I loaded up in my TV, and because it's 3:4 and it's like it's edited that way, but when it loaded up in my TV, it like expanded to fill the whole screen, and so you see Batman's face just like fucking rectangle.
Oh, was it anything like the goddamn Flash trailer that came out? Are you fucking kidding me? That is the most ridiculous plastic. We'll get into that. We'll talk about that in Nerd News, I reckon. So, like, how was the movie once it did right itself?
Yeah, it's amazing. It was emotional. It was in Japanese. It was the first time I ever watched a film that was not of the language that I spoke. Mm-hmm. And it was in the theaters. I was the only person in the theater who did not understand Japanese, and I fucking loved it. Like an hour before I went into the movie, I did not know if it was going to be subtitled, but I was going to go anyway. But thankfully it was, because I would have missed a lot of shit. And I think I think you should watch it, man, because it's got cats.
Like as in, cat people or cats?
No, like cats, the animal.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's right up my alley. Yeah, awesome. What was it called? Sorry.
Suzume.
Suzume. Okay. Hang on. Yep. I'm just looking it up. Okay, sold. I don't think they're doing it in IMAX here because Western distribution's a toilet. Anything else at the cinema or just anything else at home?
Oh shit! I wanted to talk about this show for a long time. I've watched 2 shows. One that I rewatched and one that I watched very recently. Mm-hmm. The one that I watched very recently is called Only Murders in the Building.
Sure, with Steve Martin and Martin Short.
And Selena Gomez.
Oh yes, of course, and Selena Gomez.
And it is spectacular. It's got 2 seasons. It is spectacular. It is insane how that trio works. And it's amazing how well it works. And it's like, I don't even fucking want a mystery. I just want these 3 to just be on for like forever. It is so insane.
So what you're saying is they should do a remake of the Three Amigos and replace Chevy Chase with Selena Gomez? Because I'd be fucking here for that.
I'm not saying that, but I'm also not saying that.
I don't know who owns the rights to the Three Amigos. I don't know if it's a Disney thing or whatever, but fuck, that's a good picture. Yeah, I haven't seen that. Martin Short and Steve Martin did I don't know if it was Broadway, but they did a live kind of show, and they have it on YouTube, on Netflix. They just have chemistry that you can't beat. I think they're 2 of the best. Like they're up there with the 2 Ronnies or Dudley Moore and his partner, whose name escapes me all of a sudden. Yeah, like as far as duos go, can't be matched.
Yeah, and it's just like the cinematography, the score, the way they do a lot of the things that mainstream media would not do. Like they have a whole episode where they focus on a deaf character, and when you focus on that character, you don't hear anything, or you hear muffled sound, and it's just something that goes to show that how much they care for these characters.
Yeah. So
yeah, just if you have a chance, go check it out.
Yeah, man, absolutely. No reason not to. What was the other thing?
The other thing was I watched The Morning Show.
Oh yes.
It is, like I said, it's fucking insane. Like the first few episodes were kind of like horrifying because the show starts with Stephen Carell's character as is this news personality who's been doing news, morning news for 20 years, and a lot of people come out and they accuse him of sexual harassment, and it's one after the other.
Cancelled, yeah.
Yeah, and the first few episodes of that show were very, very horrifying to me because I've been in a newsroom. I've been like running from one set to the other, just trying to figure shit out, and just like seeing how amazingly truthful that representation was. It is.
Mm.
It was insane, like to a point where like the news presenters don't know anything about what they're saying before they go on camera. Like it's all scripted. Like a lot of people think it's not, and they just read. It's like they do fucking performances before they go on the fucking camera, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. And then like the story kicks in, and like it just elevates the show even more, and the performances are absolutely crazy. Like season 2 deals
Mm.
with the news industry while they're going through the change of COVID, and they shot that during COVID, which was just mind blowing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I have an Apple Plus TV subscription, whatever it is. So I
Make
should check
use
it out.
of it.
Emily a big fan of it actually. She's watched that. Watched all the seasons. Okay. Cool. Well, I will put that on the list.
What have you been watching, sir?
What have I been watching? A few things. Went to the Astor on the weekend. Well, I went. Okay. Well, I've been 3 times this week. I have been to the cinema 31 times this year, and it's April. I just have a lot of nights free, I guess, and I do a lot of double bills as well. So, but anyway, regardless of that, last week I went and saw Heat, which is just unmatched in terms of cinema. It's got to be one in my top 10. And then on Friday night, I went and saw at the Astor as well Superman 1978 and the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, which isn't really a movie. It's more like an art project, but I enjoyed seeing that both in 4K. And then on Sunday night, I went to see a 35mm print of Road to Perdition, which was Sam Mendes' second picture after American Beauty. Tom Hanks playing completely against type as this sort of, curmudgeon-y gangster who's spoilers, but it is the inciting incident of the picture. His youngest son, who's played by the guy who plays Superman in Lois and Superman.
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, he's a young boy in this. He's like, 12, 13 something, and he plays Tom Hanks' son, and he witnesses Tom Hanks involved in a gangland murder. And the son of the big boss, who's played by Daniel Craig, goes after the family and kills the wife and other young son. And these two, the father and son team go on a cross country spree to steal all the mobsters' money to kind of like get their attention, and to buy this guy's life. And fuck man, in Jude Law's in it as well, and it's just 35mm compared to like 4K screens look great. Like, don't get me wrong, especially if it's something that was shot on film. There is a little bit of a graininess going on because they have to pump up that sharpness, but the blacks are so black. Like, it's just, there's this richness to the contrast especially in that film because it was shot Roger Deakins. It's just one of his best pictures in my opinion. That final sort of showdown in the rain. And I remember I studied it at film school because the editor came and spoke to us about, how to edit and all that. And I just became obsessed with it. And the score is so incredible. But the thing that I took away from it the most this time was just how fucking amazing Paul Newman is as a performer. Like, I don't think a lot of people in these days would watch Paul Newman movies. I think, like most people know him as the voice of Doc in Cars, people who are 30 and under. But he just had this commanding performance. Like, he's up against Tom Hanks. Like, Tom Hanks is an amazing performer, but he just owns every scene, especially in that one scene in the below the bar or below the club where he has sort of a confrontation. Because it's Paul Newman's son, Daniel Craig, who's killed Tom Hanks's family, and he's like, "You're gonna have to give him up." And Paul Newman's like, "I'm not gonna give him up. He's my son." And he said, "He murdered my family." And Paul Newman says, "There are only murderers in this room. Like, don't act like you're above all this." And he's like, "This is the life we lead, the life we chose, and there's only one guarantee: none of us will see heaven." and he says Michael could, which is the name of his son, and I fucking get goosebumps every time. Like, it's such a powerful story. And in 35mm, forget about it. Like, it was just incredible. So that was sort of the highlight of my cinema going week. But last night, as I was saying before, I did watch The Last Samurai, which is an Edward Zwick film with Tom Cruise. I think that movie, it divides people. Like, I was looking on Letterboxd, and it's either like everybody's giving it 5 stars or everybody's giving it 1 star. Like, some people hate it, some people love it. It probably wouldn't fly anymore because it's like, that would be a white savior kind of picture. But in 2003, when it was made, it was, he was the biggest bankable star in the world, and it was, it was a big picture. I don't know if it did terribly well, but I think people misunderstand it a lot. And it came at a time when Tom Cruise it became very trendy to not like him around about then. It was getting to the point where he was coming out of his marriage with Nicole Kidman. All the Scientology stuff was coming up. He's jumping on a couch. That was a few years later, but it got very trendy to sort of not like him. But it's the perfect example of how amazing a performer he is, because it's not really that action-packed. There's a few action scenes here and there. He fights some ninjas, pretty cool. But just as a performer, as an actor, he's not a character actor. He's always Tom Cruise, but he's got a lot of range emotionally. There's some powerful voiceover work there where he's sort of writing a diary, and he's been captured by the samurai, the Japanese rebels, and he's sort of talking about this culture of people who get up every day and devote themselves to the perfection of whatever it is that they pursue. And there's a stillness there, and a quietness and a calmness. And he says, I don't fully understand it, this spiritual nature of the place, but I know I've had my first untroubled sleep in many years here. And I think people are missing that there's a message of peace and serenity in that film, because it's supposed to be a big kind of historical blockbuster. But also, I think people misunderstand the title. They're all like, what is Tom Cruise being in a movie and he's the last samurai? Why is he the last samurai? He's white. He's not the last samurai. It's Ken Watanabe is the character who is the last samurai. It's his story. It's about the samurai lord who has been shunted because of a modern leaning in the Japanese military. And the emperor wants to modernize and become more American, and that means getting in different types of warfare and clothes and customs and all that. And the samurai are no longer needed, because the samurai actually means to serve, and they're no longer needed. And they sort of think that they're outdated. And it's him. It's Ken Watanabe's character who is the last samurai. So maybe if you get a chance, go back and have a look at that again. Now that Tom Hanks is kind of having a bit of a renaissance, and everyone's like, don't worry about all that crazy shit you did, because at least he wasn't cancelled, or he wasn't racist or anything. He was just a little messed up because of a strange religion, I guess. But Tom Cruise. Yeah, go back and have a look at it again. Amazing picture. I'm a huge fan of it.
You said Tom Hanks. It's Tom Cruise.
Did I? It's too many Hanks and too many Cruise and Toms. God damn it. Anyway, Tom Petty was really good in this movie. No. So that's what we were watching. Do you want to do... do you have something else?
Yeah, I have something else. I've gone back and I've rewatched the Hobbit trilogy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
The Hobbitses.
Yeah, those movies get a lot of shit. And I have a book about the making of those movies. And I have a lot of knowledge about... I'm not bragging, by the way. I just have a lot of knowledge about the shit that went down during those 3 movies, and how why most people like the first one, because it was actually written by Guillermo del Toro. He gave 5 years of
Get the fuck out of town!
Yeah! He gave... There were supposed to be 2 movies. The first one and the second one. And Guillermo del Toro was supposed to direct both of them. He wrote the first script. He spent, I think, 3 years making all the... just convincing WB and New Line to, have him do everything practical, make monsters practical, which would have been fucking amazing. And after 3 years of him just writing the script and, things not going anywhere, there were riots in New Zealand, because if Peter Jackson wasn't attached, that means that Middle-earth was going to be moving somewhere else. And seeing that the Lord of the Rings provided so many jobs and created so many new businesses in New Zealand. People were afraid, rightfully so. So Guillermo del Toro was fired, and Peter Jackson came on, and within 6 months of him coming on, they made the first one. And when they made the first one, they announced that there were going to be 2 movies directed by Peter Jackson, and when they were making the second one, they announced that there were going to be 3 movies, which is fucked because it was this thick of a book.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, that's sort of something that a lot of people bring up, is that it's kind of, they milked it a little bit. Like, it probably didn't need to be. Yeah, it probably didn't need to be that. 3 movies. Do you feel that way?
The thing is, I know everything about it. I know everything about what went wrong. I know how horribly the actors who played the dwarves were treated, except the 3 that get the most screen time. The other ones, like, they're dwarves in those movies that look incredible and have no line in all 3 movies. But I still love those movies. Like, there's heart and there's this soul of Middle Earth, and I still love those movies. I know everything wrong about it, and yeah, I still love it.
Well, good.
But yeah,
good. I'm glad that you can find that, that joy in them, even if people kind of have weird feelings about them.
Also, like, The Lord of the Rings is the reason why we're fucking doing this episode in the first place.
Doing this episode?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, yeah. That's very true. So do you want to do...
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
We're going to do... Let's do it.
It's fucking nerd news.
Here's the nerd news segment, not fucking making silly noises. I tell you, listening back to some of those old episodes to do the anniversary show, I make a lot of sounds. Nonsense. All right, here we go. Nerd news as of April the 19th, 2023. Amazon has announced it has new projects for the IP of the Poltergeist pictures, RoboCop, and Legally Blonde, which is pretty amazing. They've also got similar plans for Stargate in both film and TV installments. RoboCop developing both film and TV as well, but a TV show coming first. And they also have the series based on Fame, Barbershop, and The Magnificent Seven, as well as the Thomas Crown Affair and the Pink Panther. Perhaps in animated form. So they're just like, what have we got in our bag? Quick!
The Pink Panther, what the fuck?
Are you upset about that? Why?
No! I never thought I would ever hear shit like that.
Yeah, man. I'd say it's probably the Pink Panther as in maybe the cartoon, the character of the Pink Panther, not the Pink Panther that Peter Sellers was in.
I wasn't going there. I was talking about cartoon, man.
You were thinking the cartoon as
well?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, that's a fucking weird get, but oh well, whatever. Enjoy yourselves, Amazon. I'm sure you're doing anything you absolutely can. Speaking of IP mining, Warner Brothers is reportedly doing it, and they're also reportedly doing it. They're reportedly making a concerted effort, this is in quotes, actually this isn't what I wanted to read. It's not. That's Garbage Town. They're making a concerted effort to cast more people of colour in the HBO Max Harry Potter reboot series. It was more the fact, which is a good idea. I'm not saying that's garbage. I'm saying this article is garbage. What I wanted to talk about and what I thought that this article was them telling me that there was a Harry Potter series coming out in Max's, it's like HBO Max, but it's now called Max reboot series. That's the interesting thing, that they're doing a Harry Potter thing. That they're putting more people of colour in it's great. That's awesome too, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. What I want to talk about is they're doing a Harry Potter reboot series. How about them shits?
Them shits,
How about them shits is interesting.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Fucking hell. I just have the image of the elephant shitting every time we say that now.
I use shits as a collective. Like it's it comes from Dave Chappelle. Like he talks about it. Like he's talking about an object or something like that. You say it's shits. I don't know why, but yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of Harry Potter heads out there who are pretty upset about this.
A lot. I'd say 98% of us or of them.
Yep. Do you feel that way?
I don't. I really don't. Like, the Harry Potter films made money. They were gonna do that. The Lord of the Rings is getting a remake. People will be fucking insane when that comes out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's been 3 different... If you count Spider-Verse, there's been 4 different Spider-Mans in less than 2 decades.
True. But, like, that's a totally different thing than, remaking the Harry Potter or the Lord of the Rings.
Is that what it is? Are they remaking it, or is it an extension of whatever has already happened?
No, it's the story of Harry Potter that they're doing in 7 seasons.
Oh, okay.
Which makes sense, by the way.
Yeah, of course, and good on them. They'll be able to mine the books more, and they can do the same thing, cast young people and let them age and whatever. It's going to be like Stranger Things. But I just know when they cast a person of color or a person who isn't, is a non-binary person, or is a person who is a gay or bisexual or transsexual or whatever, when they cast that person as Hermione, the internet's going to... One day you're going to open up the internet and it won't be working because there'll be all these people going, what the fuck?
Yeah. I'm honestly not on board with the idea as much because I don't know as much. I'm not saying I won't be. I don't know as much as I want to in order to have an opinion about it.
Sure.
The films are literally my childhood, and the amazing thing is nobody can take that away. But I feel like the people who need to hear that don't have fucking ears anymore. A friend of mine brought up a really good point, and it opened my eyes to things that rebooting something is always a good thing because you can have closure from what happened, and also get a chance to introduce a new generation to these amazing characters in the story. Yep. I would fucking love to have the original cast be professors in this, just not actual fucking characters from the book, but professors who pop in for an episode or 2. That'd be a really cool moment. But I was also hoping for a reunion show that we're gonna do. And I mean, yeah, the whole Fantastic Beasts franchise has fucking died because of Johnny Depp.
Yeah. I mean, but they recast him, didn't they?
We've had 3 fantastic films with same Grindelwald, but 3 different actors playing Grindelwald.
Okay.
Because it was Colin Firth. Who was the Penguin?
Colin Farrell.
Yeah, sorry. Colin Farrell was in the first one. There's Johnny Depp in the second one, and then there was Matt Mikkelsen playing Grindelwald in the third one. Right,
and they've done that not just because they wanted to get Johnny Depp out of the role, but because that this character's supposed to be some sort of shapeshifter, or
yeah, in the first one it was because he was supposed to be in jail, but he wasn't. And then in the second one he breaks out of jail, so he's Johnny Depp. And then in the third one they had to recast him, and Matt Mikkelsen had 48 hours to sign that character. But yeah, it's what it is. I mean, it's the same shit that's happening with the Lord of the Rings series. No one's gonna fucking stop them from making it. It's just, it's all all this white noise just gets too much to me now. I don't want any of it because, to be honest, the Harry Potter films are my childhood, and they're childhood for a lot of people, and people can go back and watch them. But this is a chance to introduce a whole new generation of kids to this wizarding world, and frankly, for more kids to feel represented in that world. We did not have that in the films.
Not really. Yeah, it's a lot of white milk toast motherfuckers. And that's, that is what it is. But yeah, I understand. I understand that. Absolutely. Well, look, I hope it's good. I have no skin in the game because I don't really care about Harry Potter. I just know that my niece really loved him and we watched a couple of them together, and that was a nice thing for us to bond over, but she's into other shit now because she's older. Finally, in the nerd news, this one's a motherfucker. Oh, the other one I forgot to talk about. Oh, shit on me. Okay, wait, let's go back. In What Are We Watching, right? I'm talking to Addie about this the other night. I was watching Any Given Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
The Oliver Stone picture from 1999, okay? This movie is nearly 25 years old. That's a quarter of a decade. Right, so I'm watching this picture. It's an amazing picture. It's as close to Shakespeare as he's ever going to get. It's about love and death and rebirth and betrayal, and it's just people doing this, and there's kings and queens and falling houses of power, and just beautifully made, really interesting use of different media, and anyway, wonderful performances. But what's up?
I'm just doing shit.
Okay, I thought you were going, man, you were going fast. I am going fast because it's crazy. There's a scene in that, and I sent Addie a video of it, right? Where Al Pacino's character has like a regular a sex worker that he sees, and she's played by, I think it's Elizabeth Berkley is the actress. She was in Saved by the Bell and Showgirls and stuff. She's, had a big sort of era around that period of time. And there's a scene where they're obviously post-coital, and she's just sitting there, and she gets up, and it's like shot from behind her, and she sort of like goes to sort of sit on him in the bed, not in a sexual way. They're actually play fighting and doing little tickles and stuff, but she kind of goes to sit straddling him, and it's from behind, and you see this woman's entire vagina. It is amazing, like. And you know what it is? I was talking to Addie about it just before we started recording. There is so little sexual content in the mass media that we consume nowadays. Like Any Given Sunday wasn't a kids' film or anything, but it was a big picture. It came out and got nominated for awards, like all that kind of stuff. And I remember listening to or hearing Angelica Jade Bastien, the film critic who works for Vulture, who was talking about it on a podcast and saying how just sexuality has just completely been pulled out of mainstream media. Like, you don't see that in... What's the closest thing we got in a Marvel movie was that scene in Eternals, outside of, one of the shows or whatever, like, She-Hulk. But you don't see anything. It's like there's no real sexual nature to it at all. It's all very... We've got to watch out for the kids, and only mummies and daddies can do that together. And it was just, it shook me. It took me by surprise. Like, that was all of the vagina. All of it. The thing, I could draw it from memory now. Like, unbelievable. Great picture. Go and check it out. But it just really struck me as being like, that is a level of sexuality you don't see outside of maybe European cinema anymore. Or American cinema, but it's very niche. It's not like... And I'm not saying you have to go and put vaginas in the next... Marvel movie. You don't have to do that, but let's just not pretend like this stuff doesn't exist, because it was a beautiful, sweet, tender scene between these two people who have nothing in common but somehow come together. And she was a beautiful woman and he's a beautiful man. Like, there's nothing wrong with it at all. But it did take me by surprise, I must admit. Anyway, back to fucking nerd news. Oh, man. That's all right. It's Tangent, the podcast. The final story in nerd news.
Hold up. Yeah, yes? go on.
No, what were you going to say?
Is the nerd news thing going to be like a bad news or good news?
It's good news, I guess.
Okay, then I do have a bad news, but you go first. What are you going to say?
Well, do you want to do the bad stuff before the good stuff? Or?
Yeah, but you're going to say something.
I was just going to say that this, the next story, I've just got the tile up on IG, and it's Glenn Powell from the Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise movie, whichever one it was, Maverick, and he's like showing his abs. That's what made me think of the sexy stuff in that other movie. But
awesome.
Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones, who we love, Daisy Edgar Jones, are set to star in the film Twisters, which is either a remake, I think it's a remake, or a sequel to the film Twister. Film Twister, which...
It's a sequel.
It's a sequel, is it? Right.
It's
a
not.
sequel.
I don't
from
fucking
Twister.
know. I just love it.
It's gonna be ridiculous, honestly. Like, I don't know how these two people ended up going, yeah, that's a good thing to do. I guess probably they were kids when that movie came out and they were like, yeah, I want to be in a sequel for that. I wonder if Helen Hunt will come back. Obviously, Bill Paxton can't because he passed away. But this is what's up. It's a Twister remake called Twisters. Now, do you remember, maybe you don't, Addy, but I remember stop dancing. I remember when Batman v Superman came out, they had a snack tie-in. You know how sometimes they have like these branded tie-ins with big snack companies or whatever, and it was Doritos, and Batman was the nacho cheese, and Superman was regular cheese, and it was like two chips fighting, and that was the thing. I was like, that's the most random fucking.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Because it doesn't have like Batman's ever eaten a Dorito. Are you fucking shitting me? And of course he hasn't. Look at the shape he's in. Right, so what I think they've missed a trick here. I don't know if you have these where you are, Addy, but there is a snack in Australia called Twisties. And they're these little weird shaped twisty chips. I think they're made of corn or something like that, or rice maybe. Cheese and chicken flavour. Chicken flavour my ass, by the way. It's not a chicken hasn't even been walked past that bag of chips, I'm telling you. You have to rub it on a chicken. But you just rub all these chips on this chicken and then put them in the bag. Why aren't they doing a tie-in with Twisties? Coming this summer, Twisties, and it's tornadoes instead of wind. It's tornadoes of cheese. Anyway, I think they're missing an opportunity there, and if they want to hire me to do their PR, I'm right here. Christ. Okay, friends. Sorry about that. What was your story? We're 40 minutes in. We haven't even got to the actual main part of the story because I'm too busy talking about Twisties and seeing all the whole fanny.
I love your reaction because that's one of my favorite things to ever come out of our conversations with the Instafuck.
Instafuck, yeah. Well, that's not actually me. That's a Will Ferrell joke from the movie Get Hard. Gonna get you 600 likes on Instafuck or whatever he says. But I use it quite a lot because Instagram can be quite a toilet these days.
Yeah, and like
keep getting all these people liking posts and liking comments and stuff that are like a designation of just a bunch of vowels in a row and 4 numbers, and it's a picture of a 19-year-old woman with her boobs out and it says "Watch my pussies come," or all these that's sexual solicitation for crying out loud. Who's fallen for this stuff? But it happens like twice a day and it's really irritating. Like, Instagram, tighten your fucking belt. Like, why are these people allowed to create accounts?
They're not. It's people. Fucking sex bots. It's not even real people, man. Exactly.
But I mean, why? Like I said, Instagram or Meta or whoever the fuck you are, tighten your belt. Like, figure out a security system to safeguard against this stuff. It shouldn't be that easy. Anyway, that's rant number 2. What was your news story?
My news story is kind of sad. No Arcane season 2 this year, or next. Or next year.
According to whom?
According to the creators.
Well, they're a bunch of fucks.
Let's not go there. Like,
yeah.
The reason they gave for that is that they made the show and then it got popular and they said, if we had any fucking idea that so many of you are gonna watch it, we would have probably worked on it more.
You can't predict the future. Like, they're just doing the best they can with what they have. I hope we get it at some stage. If it's 2025, it's 2025. At least they're going to put in the effort and make it worth it.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck if it's 2035. I just want it.
I might be dead by then. I would prefer to
shut the fuck up.
Shortly. In 2035, I'll be 52. 53.
Yeah, you were Zack Snyder's age. Have you looked at that man?
Zack Snyder. Yeah, he's a dish, man. That's because he fucking trains real hard. I did get asked the other day when I was on a shoot, and somehow my age got brought up, and the actress in the shoot was like, "Are you really 40?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "What's your skincare routine like?"
just oatmeals in Babylon all the way.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. No, I just said I don't have one. I don't know. This is just what I look like. I can't help it. But I don't I don't drink or eat like alcohol or eat meat or anything, so it might be just toxins and stuff. I don't know, honestly. I have no idea. Could be just good genes as well. But it was just a funny conversation for someone to go, what's your skincare routine? Oh, yes, I lather on jojoba and walnut mask of an evening, and then it's like that the beginning scene in American Psycho where it's like, I apply an apricot mask, and then he pulls the thing off or whatever. I do this scrub, and then I do this scrub, and then I exfoliate, and then I use a deep cleansing conditioner, and then a moisturizer. None of that shit. I wash my face with water and sometimes soap. And half of it is covered in beard hair, so I don't even worry about one half. So we are miles off the track of Dungeons and Dragons, but we're going to get into it now. Addie, this is your fault. You said you wanted to do an episode on it, and I said, all right, I'll go and see it, and I really loved it.
No, you say you're going to do it, and I said, oh, okay, sure, then go see it.
I did it the wrong way around, did I? Yes, okay. Went and saw it, and I had such a great time. It really doesn't ask much of you. It's just a good adventure story. There's some great themes, and it's a brilliant script. Like, it's really tight script. Yeah, I loved it. But look, this is your game. This is your business. Tell the people what it is. What does this mean to you to see this kind of... Because you were like, it works. It all works for me. And you're the fan. Like, for me, it was just a good adventure story. But for you, there's all this stuff in there that really hits. Tell me about it.
This is a weird one. This episode is where I mark the point in our journey that this is something that I had no fucking idea that we would do. Because... if it wasn't for this movie, I don't think I would have opened up about how much D&D has meant to me.
Yeah.
Like, I watched this trailer and I was really cynical because I was like, oh my fucking god, why? Not only that, but because we have The Legend of Vox Machina, which is an animated series which is based on an amazing D&D campaign run by Critical Role. And those were the people that got me back into D&D and did not make me feel like a fucking weirdo and a fucking loser for playing D&D. And the little fresh cut grass reference in the film is actually a character called Fresh Cut Grass who's named after its creator's favorite smell. And it's a robot, and that was the reference, which is amazing because Critical Role has been the only thing. I'm gonna go on a tangent about Critical Role because they've done so much for D&D that I cannot talk about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay? So Critical Role is a company now which is a bunch of voice actors that you know from different things. It has Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie in The Last of Us games. It has Laura Bailey, who played Abby in the Last of Us 2 game. And it's just a bunch of voice actors who play D&D every Thursday night. And it's grown from their home game to their stream to now an actual company to... They started a Kickstarter campaign in 2018 for an animated show on their first campaign, which was Vox Machina, which is like a group of really weird fighters and clerics, and clerics are people who are very close to nature, and druids who can polymorph. So the druid that we had in the film was Druid, and she can transform into animals. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm being quiet so that you can go, man.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So yeah, I mean, that campaign had so much and it ran for 5 years, and now that it's in a show, it just... And like the show as well, like I fucking beg people, if you liked like 2% of this film, watch that show, because you need to know nothing about D&D to enjoy that show. It's an amazing story, and they started off with a crowdfunding campaign for $75,000, and their biggest stretch goal was $1 million. And the day it went live, they were supposed to go live to talk about it, and it went live like around 6 a.m. their time, and they were supposed to like go live at 9 a.m. And so they officially opened it at 6 a.m. and they were just getting ready for work. By the time they reached work, it had passed 3.5 million.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's cool. I like that a lot.
By the end of the Kickstarter campaign, they had raised 8.4 million. And their biggest stretch goal was $75,000 for 8 episodes. And so not only that, but they got picked up by Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime gave them first season with 12 episodes and a second season with 12 episodes. And while they were making the second season, after the first one came out, Amazon Prime said you're greenlit for season 3.
So and this is just dudes getting together, not dudes, dudes as in a collective for people, not dudes as in specific gender, but it's just a bunch of friends getting together and going on these campaigns, and it's something they broadcast.
Yeah, and it's such a fresh thing, and it makes me so happy because they're creatives in charge of what they're creating. You don't see that, and it's spectacular. It makes me really emotional. But this is not a Legend of Vox Machina episode. This is a Dungeons and Dragons episode. But I had to get that off my chest because they, in the past, they started live streaming in 2015, and because of them, a lot of people have gotten into D&D. Because of them, people don't the people who know D&D now, since the past 10 years, have been influenced by Critical Role.
Wow, that's amazing. What a it seems like, you said to me that it's like you've received guff from people in the past because you are into this stuff, but there's a real community out there. There's a real network of people who this is for. And do you feel like the movie speaks to that?
It does. The D&D community, or the tabletop role-playing game community, is one of the most inclusive and one of the most appreciative communities out there. And it just speaks to how much, it's insane that this movie exists, because I was cynical because of the trailer. And it got okay reviews to a point where I was like, okay, I might check this out. And I watched it, and it was everything I wanted. It was everything I wanted, to a point where I saw in the first few minutes, you see them, go into this courtroom where they have to present their case of how they've reformed in the jail, and one of the judges is a dragonborn.
Okay, which one?
The one that has specs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. The dragon with glasses is what I saw that as, but
yeah.
But yeah, in a cool way.
And a dragonborn is a character that sorry to cut you off.
No, it's fine.
A dragonborn is one of the most hardest thing to do in live action, because how the fuck do you do it? It's a small dragon that has human features. How? And they did practically, and I fucking loved it.
That's one of the things, I've got to say that really, sorry, it's not my microphone. One of the things that really got me about this is how practical they went with it. I mean, there is a lot of computer generated effects and, set extension and things like that, but there was a real concerted effort to do this in an old fashioned way, in a way that they did the Labyrinth or Dark Crystal, any of those pictures. the creature creations, the original Star Wars, like the prosthetic work on people and the animatronics. That guy who turns up, what's his name in the jail, and like Chris Pine is like, he really should be here. What's the guy's name?
The Paladin.
Yeah, whoever the half bird person is, it comes in and he's like, he really should be here.
Jonathan.
Jonathan really should be here. Like that was just, that was tickling me. And Chris Pine's just so fucking charismatic, and I haven't seen him at this speed in a while. Like, last time I saw him like this was probably This Means War, or the Star Trek picture that he was in. But yeah, and then they use him. They want him to be there because he's got wings, so they can jump out of a window and the guy's going to fly. But like, that's all practical. They're actual animatronic wings on an animatronic bird's head on a full-grown man, like, or woman, whoever was underneath the costume. Just exceptional work, and it was one of the reasons that I was so digging it, and so digging it. You know what I mean? Digging it so much is more what I was trying to say.
It's season 2, and nobody fucking cares.
A couple of dragons, because because it's Dungeons and Dragons. There was a few dungeons, there was a couple of dragons. The one at the end was really cool, and they were CG for the most part, but it was really, none of them had tits.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's not.
Oh, okay, that's just you doing that? Okay, well, I'm glad.
I'm sorry if that disappointed you.
It did. It's 99.9% of the reason I bought a ticket, but whatever.
It's PG-13. You can't do tits in a PG-13 film.
You can give it a whirl. You know what else you can do in 1999? You can show everybody in the vagina. Unbelievable. I'll get over it in a minute. Yeah. But yeah, that, on a more serious note, the practical nature of this is that people, light hitting objects, it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And it's a fucking amazing story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story about, these band of people coming together and, for the most part stealing. But also,
honor among thieves, not honor among people who purchase things legally and then take a receipt.
The wizard Simon is a descendant of one of the biggest and most powerful wizards in all of D&D. And it's the guy that he sees when he first puts the helmet on.
Yeah.
And I forget the name, which is fine, because there are 5 books, 5 very thick books with names and classes and spells and shit of D&D that you can't humanly. It's not humanly possible to memorize, yet there's one person in the comments who's like, I know all of them. Which, good for you, man.
Let him come out. Yeah, that's totally fine. It is so thick with lore and stuff, but it's not, you don't need to know any of that. I knew nothing. All I knew, there's some dungeons, some dragons, some thieves, and away you went. And you get everybody straight away. Like, everybody's introduced and you understand who they are and what their motives are and what their needs are and what they ultimately will get in the end when they take the hero's journey. Like, it was everybody's story. In particular, she was so great. Michelle Rodriguez, who I haven't seen in anything outside of a Fast and Furious movie in a long time. She was so awesome. She was so great in this. Like, I was just, because normally not that I don't like her. That's not the way to put it. I don't think she's a great actress most of the time. But this, she really kind of brought a weariness, a world weariness to it, and the relationship between her and Chris Pine and Chris Pine's character's Edgin's daughter. It was that's the thing that's always going to get me. Is the emotional core to a story. Like, you should be able to remove all of the fantasy elements from that movie and have it still work. Like, if it was just set in the real world and it was about a young girl being led astray by, a surrogate uncle, and it was just a man and his adopted sister, who's also this kid's sort of adopted mum, going after them and going through a bunch of trials and tribulations in a normal world without dragons and fucking maces and half bird people and whatever. it should all track, and it absolutely does. And it's probably because the crafts people are so on it. Like John Francis Daley, the director and writer of this, who was an actor. He's been in heaps of stuff. I remember him as the young kid in the film Waiting, who's like just started at the restaurant that Ryan Reynolds works at, and he doesn't get to say anything till the very, very end. But he's a writer, and he's written on TV and stuff. He wrote Horrible Bosses, Horrible Bosses 2, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But he also wrote Homecoming, the Spider-Man picture, which is another case of what is important here. It is the core of these characters. It's the moment where Peter opens the door and there's Vulture, and it's Liz's mum, Liz's dad rather. Like that's what kept me interested. Like if this was just a big thing of like, special effects and all that shit just knocking around on screen for minutes, I would have gone and seen Ant-Man 2 again, Ant-Man 3 again rather. So yeah, that was what really got me, is this family story, this beautiful family story.
Was there something that didn't work for you? Like you thought of something like, okay, that's too much.
I felt like the every time I felt like that was happening, it paid off. Like there was a critical moment that was like, oh, this so totally tracks. Like where they're going after the helmet, and they're going to talk to all the dead dudes, and I was like, all right, this is going on a little long. And then he gets the helmet, and they're like, this isn't working, and he's talking to the older version of himself, sort of inside that the other realm. And Chris Pine's like, all right, well, we're going to go with another plan then. I'm like, oh, really? Did we just go on like a 25-minute detour in this film just to go, oh, never mind, cast it off? But then that actually becomes critically important for that character to not only gain the confidence that he needs to be a sorcerer, but also for them to advance the plot. So not really. Like I kind of... And the villains kind of worked. I mean, I didn't entirely understand what the Red Wizards wanted. They just kind of wanted to make everybody like to be necromancers and to bring all these people back to, like, there wasn't really a need there. But I don't think we saw it all either, because you only saw what the Red Witch was doing. You didn't really see like what the people behind her were doing. So maybe that's a sequel thing. And that was the other thing as well. Do you reckon this is a sequelizable film, or do they go, is it Dungeons and Dragons, this time with tits, and it's a different story?
Different cast, different party, yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing about D&D, is like, okay, yeah, there's this big threat in the background that's doing all the shit. But then you have a main story, and you focus on it. And, there might be times where you run into that, and sometimes you roll a dice, and you roll a deception check, and you roll a fucking 20, and you... I can't fucking believe I'm going to say this. And you can stage an orgy so that the villain gets distracted, and then you can run away. It's D&D. You can do whatever.
What you should do? You should show him the 1999 film Any Given Sunday, and that'll fucking distract him. I think it was about 2 hours and 4 minutes in, if I remember correctly, and that's just as good as staging an orgy.
That's actually happened. That's a reference to a stream by Critical Role, because that's actually happened in a game.
I'm sure it has. But when you say orgy, do they stage it and then the villain goes, "Oh, I want to be a part of that," and they get in on the orgy, and you're like, "Ha ha ha, we're gonna fuck off with all your stuff."
No, they're just...
Or is it they just stare at it, going, "My God, there's an orgy going on here," and where there's dragons involved, and it's all everybody's everywhere, and it's interesting.
It's everything and so much more.
Amazing. Just thinking about what the future is for this. I don't know how well it's done, but if it's representing D&D for you in the way that is like, yeah, this is what it is. It speaks to me. And the first thing you said to me was they got it right. They got it right, and that's a big swing. Like, it's hard to get. We were talking about how hard it is to fucking please Harry Potter fans. I don't know. And D&D is an institution. Like, it's been around since what, the 70s?
Yep.
Yeah, so. What's the future of this? Like, is this? I said in my letterbox review, and you commented, on it afterwards, that I said this is the most interesting franchise film I've seen this year, and you're like, it's not a franchise yet. I'm like, come on, of course it is. Like, what's the move forward?
I would very much hope for this to be a franchise, and I would very much hope for every single person that was involved in the making of this film to be involved throughout the process of every single thing that they do with this. It has done well. Like, I don't know about everywhere else, but Avatar 2 has been re-released here, and that's taking over theaters again, which fucking sucks because this one's still in theaters, and I watched it three times, and I want to go watch it again.
The other thing that they seem to be doing distribution-wise is shooting themselves in the foot is releasing things on VOD way too early. Like Creed was the third highest, Creed 3 was the third highest grossing film in its fourth week, I think, in cinemas in the States. And then that following week they went to VOD. I'm like, you're in cinemas still doing well. Wait until you're out of the top 10 before you pull stuff because you're just going to kill yourself and you're not going to get those theatrical bucks. And it's been made abundantly clear by how well the Super Mario Brother movie is doing that everybody's taken it back. The COVID panic thing of like, we need to release everything on fucking straight away so that people can see it at home because that's how we're going to make our money now. I think everybody's backpedaling and going, actually, theatrical distribution is 100% where the money is to be made. And that is because of Avatar and because of Super Mario Brothers, absolutely. There's a lot of money to be made. Do you think this will make that mistake and be like, okay, let's put it on VOD then if fucking Avatar's kicking around? Because it's still playing here, Avatar as well.
Yeah. I think it's been a month since it came out. Well, not a month because it came out like 29th of March.
A little less, less than that. Let me ask you then, what you asked me what didn't work for me. I feel like the subplot of Michelle Rodriguez and her husband or her ex-husband Bradley Cooper.
Yes. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Like, it was weird, but I mean, I'm sure that has some sort of history in the actual game. That there are smaller people and bigger people and all that stuff. I just thought it was a weird, not a weird thread, but a thread you didn't need. Her journey could have been complete without that, because it's more about her going after the young girl. But thinking about, like I said, the future of what this is, what did they not do that you want them to do in a sequel?
Oh my god, Dragon with Tits, man. Nobody's ever done that.
See that, everybody? Just listen. That's, John Francis Daly. We know you're listening. This is your favorite podcast.
I want to be a part of this franchise. I'm just putting this out there. Whenever the fuck it happens, I want to be. Just like if I could be a fly in the room, just a writer's room, fucking when they're in production, I would die just to see.
Well, you want to be able to morph like the young little animal girl. That's the way to do it.
Druids are my favorite thing in the entirety of D&D. They are amazing, and they're just full of so much love for so many things. Sorry.
Addie's getting emotional. Well, it really was a stellar adventure story. I haven't seen anything like that in a while. I'm not a huge sword and sandals kind of person. Like, I like some stuff like that. Maybe it's not sword and sandals. Maybe it's more fantasy. Like, I like the LOTR films. They're fine, but it doesn't speak to me. Like, I could never write one of these. Well, having said that, I am working with a novelist on an adaptation of his fantasy book, but it's a bit more like gothic horror. So now I'm thinking, should I have said that? It's so hard to know when you're supposed to talk about projects and when you're not. I'm sure it'll be fine. No one's going to know any different. Anyway, moving on. It's not my main street of stuff. But fuck, I had a good time. I had a really good time with it, and I do hope that they go on and expand and try new things and maybe bring these characters in again, because I want to see what happens now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I love that you brought up the Bradley Cooper scene, because I know it's a bit out of place, and when you watch a movie, sometimes some things just don't fall in place for you. I actually kind of liked it, because like, a lot of people don't know that he was actually playing a gnome, which are small creatures, but are also like almost immortal. Like, you can kill them, but they will live for as long as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, it's not weird for gnomes to have the different fetishes and things, but I love
right? Everybody out there waiting to hear about Gnome Fetish, the podcast, get ready. They enjoy cunnilingus.
But what? What'd you say?
They enjoy cunnilingus because they're so short.
What is that?
Like,
what is cunnilingus?
Cunnilingus is going down on a woman.
Okay.
Because it's right there. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're right there. You don't even need a stepladder. Come on.
Oh god.
I've made it weird. So okay, so they're nearly immortal. They're horny. What's going on?
No, the gnomes that you play are what comes out of you, not the gnome. Not the gnome. What?
Excuse me? The
Sorry.
gnomes are something that comes out of you? Can you explain that?
The gnomes and how... I'm not gonna... Let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. Gnomes are awesome. Like I think I cut you off. What do you want to see? I know you said you want to be involved, but like, what's something that they didn't have in this that you think that they could add in the next one?
I don't... You know what? I walked out of the theater like 3 fucking times thinking there's nothing that I would have wanted for them to change or to do differently or to add. Like, I would fucking love to see like a 3-hour film with just this amount of quality. But I don't think a lot of people like would be down for a fantasy film that's also 3 hours long. Like,
are you kidding me? What are you talking about? Fucking all of the LOTR director's cuts are longer than 3 hours.
that was 20 years ago, mate.
So I'm now is the time to do it. If anything, it was weirder then. Like the last Batman movie was 3 hours long. The last Avengers picture was 3 hours long. Avatar 2 was 3 hours long. The Ari Aster's new film Beau is Afraid is 3 hours long. Like I think now's the time to do it, man.
Yeah, I do agree. And it's you know what's weird? Like, I would fucking love for like the future of this hopefully franchise to like have different parties and like have like different movies with different characters, and then have like an Avengers moment where somehow they drawn into one party and they need their help, and then that party like goes on and then runs into the other one. Like, have different things go on at different times and then have all of it just be in one universe, because that would be very interesting.
Yeah.
I know it's very Avengers-y, but if there's one place it will work amazingly, it's D&D. Or have like different worlds. Who cares, man? Like, I want so much more from this world. And I love that's been like the general consensus of like even people who know nothing about the game, that they want more from this world, which is amazing.
Yeah,
because it's a wonderful, amazing world. It's a bit weird, but it's only weird if you make it.
Exactly. And look, hey, anything worth doing is weird. Normality is overrated. Well, cool. I mean, I reckon I would absolutely 100% recommend anyone go and see it. I don't mean if you're a fantasy fan. I don't mean if you're a comedy fan, if you're a Chris Pine fan. Like, there's so much going on here. There's going to be something for you. Do check it out. Do you have sort of like a favorite line, favorite moment? Because I've got a couple. Oh,
okay. Yeah, sure, you go on. Because I might have...
Probably, I love Chris Pine's, like, subtle a comedy that he does where it's like just like offhand conversation kind of thing. It doesn't even really, he's not registering it as a huge joke, but it really works. And the one that got me was where they're about to be decapitated and she's like, how do you keep your axe? The guy who's about to cut their heads off. She's like, how do you keep your axe on? He's like, that's what you want to know before you die? She's like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, it's linseed oil, warmed up, like boiled linseed oil. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. And then she rolls out and like takes down like 14 different dudes, and Chris Pine like hits one guy with his goddamn loot. And he's like, yeah, we won the day, whatever. She picks up the axe and looks at it. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna keep this shit. And she goes, before we leave town, and he cuts her off and goes, yeah, I know, linseed oil. And the comedy that's kind of pervasive now and is found everywhere is the post-Avengers Joss Whedon kind of tongue in cheek
It's
that
making,
happened.
yeah,
Like I've
making
mentioned.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like making fun of a moment, or that moment in Justice League where the Flash is like, "Oh, they all took off. That's rude." Like it's real cutesy and annoying. But this was a real moment of comedy. Like it would be. He's like, "Yeah, all right. I know you like your new axe. We'll get the fucking thing, but let's get a move
Yeah.
on." That kind of thing. I really enjoyed that, and I think that the addition of the daughter having like the invisibility power like tied her so much more to the adventure than it would have been if she was just a damsel in distress. So yeah, I really dug that. And also like my favorite moment is where they're away, they've gotten their thing, they've completely fucked up Hugh Grant's character, all the money's coming out of the portal. The portal thing is in the cart, in the horse cart, like that whole sequence is outstanding where they've got to get it in there and then get out, like just incredible.
That's what imagination looks like.
It does. No, you're absolutely right. It was so not intuitive. That's not the right word. It was so inventive and new. I hadn't ever seen a sequence like that before, and that really jazzes me up. But then when they get away, they've got every reason to they've got all the riches. They're ready to boot, and then behind them they see the red wizard, taking over. And they're like, well, shit, let's turn around, And the maze sequence was really cool too. Just so many great sequences and so much fun. What about you? I know you sent me a line that you really liked.
I'll talk about the line, but like that maze sequence, like the whole tournament thing. There's another party that's doing it as well. That starts with them, and those are the characters from the D&D cartoon show.
Oh yeah. That's cool. Have you seen that much, the D&D show?
I have not. I honestly, I did not know it fucking existed until this movie came out.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, it was amazing. It was just like the whole Displacer Beast thing, where like they used it really perfectly, where like because the Displacer Beast displaces your attention, so like it will project itself somewhere that distracts you, and then it attacks you from behind.
Yeah.
And like the way they used it was amazing, and like the whole the mimic, which is the chest that you open, and it's actually like the fucking creature with the tongue.
Fucking yeah, man! It was a goddamn snapping turtle or whatever. The goddamn Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Very cool.
It was like that, and like the gelatinous cube, and like it's like it's a thing that exists in D&D. You don't have to do it. Like even Onward had that, where like they're in this cave, and like the gelatinous cube drops, and they have to run.
Yeah.
You can escape a gelatinous cube, but if you don't, you fucking dissolve in acid.
Jesus.
And like the way they escape it, it was so amazing to see that. Like their parts, man. Like the Dragonborns totally had like a collective of 2 lines, and those were my favorite part of the film because I could spot them and say, "Oh my god!"
It was. I could feel as I was watching it. I'm like, I know that means something, and Addie's going to tell me, and he's going to be so excited about it. Like that, I had fun watching it, knowing how much fun you had watching it. You know what I mean? It was it's a special picture. So, what's your favorite line though?
Okay, my favorite line is I'm a wizard at heart. So, my favorite line is when Chris Pine says to Simon, "You're at your strongest when you think you're at your weakest."
Isn't that just so true? What a beautiful message for a movie about dragons, sans bosoms, and dungeons and thieves and stuff. What a great message to send out to people in mass media, and hopefully they take it on board.
Yeah, and like even like the dragon, they did so fucking perfectly. Like you can see how it like reloads itself and then like shoots lightning. Oh yeah, lightning.
Yeah. That was a great sequence where it sort of showed that the battle, and then they had to go and investigate each of the dudes who was there to find the helmet. And I enjoyed the dragon that the Red Witch created at the end, which was made out of marble and gold. Like it just was such a great design.
She brings a statue to life, And it's not actually a dragon, it's a statue of a dragon, so it can't actually fly with wings. It just glides. And
it was just like the design work across the board was really specific. It wasn't just like, okay, we're in a fantasy realm. Like every little piece was so carefully orchestrated and placed there because it had to be, because they knew, like, talk about contending with rabid fans or super fans of things. This is D&D, motherfuckers. Like, you don't mess around with these people. This thing is an institution. Like, yeah, I would like to feel, I don't know, what's the community like? Like, how are they feeling about it?
Most of us feel really proud to have had that previous, because now, like, the people that have watched it, like, there's a lot of people who watched it and loved it, but there's not enough people watching it. I still think that this would make an amazing franchise if they do have faith in it.
Yep.
I'm fine with this being a one-off thing, though. I am, like, if nothing happens after this and this remains untouched, I would be absolutely okay with it.
Do you think, though, I mean, building in a subtitle says a lot. Like, you could have just released this film as Dungeons and Dragons and you didn't need a subtitle. I don't think the film that was made in the early 2000s or 90s, the one with Jeremy Irons, I don't think that has a subtitle.
It doesn't, but it has Dungeons and Dragons in the title, and it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. So, but I feel like building in that title is, Honor Among Thieves, so the next one could be something else, and, talking about the different varieties of character that you can be. Like, they'd be crazy not to. Or just, like, make a series. Do it episodically. And
I would actually not want that.
No?
Oh, I mean, I'm going to say it again. We already have The Legend of Vox Machina. We don't, like, having, like, this having a film series and having, like, because you could make a TV show and people might watch it, right? But when you have a film series, you have more budget to do the things that you can, and then have more budget to market it. The marketing of this movie is so off the charts that it's the best marketed movie of 2023.
Yeah.
Like, they're fucking statues. I went to the theater, they had fucking popcorn thing with the 20-sided dice.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is the main dice that you use while playing the game. And it's like, I was like, oh my god, I want it, and then it's for like $3,000. I'm like, oh, fuck it.
That's a bit exorbitant, I've got to admit. I mean, like, becoming aware of it, it did kind of pop up quickly, but then as soon as it did, I saw it everywhere. Like, they spent a bit on marketing. So I do hope that it moves forward and we get more stories in this world, whether they're Chris Pine's character or not. What do you give it at? We don't normally do this, but let's give it at, like, out of 5 dragon bosoms, how many bosoms do you give it?
I give it 20.
20 out of 5 bosoms. Yep. That's a lot of bosoms, everybody's, and I'll join him. I'll give it 20 bosoms also.
Well, okay. What's your favorite? Give me your top 3 favorite moments.
Top 3 favorite moments. Well, I did the one with the axe.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. The one with the axe, absolutely. Where they're waiting for this guy to come to the trial, and they just use him to pitch themselves out of a window. And where this is at the start as well, where the guy comes in and tries to get handsy with Michelle Rodriguez, and he's like, "Don't interrupt her while she's eating a potato," and then the potato becomes a theme that runs throughout the show. Like, loved it, just loved it. But also the other 2 points that I mentioned as well, the maze and then where they turn around and see the Red Witch attack, and they're like, "Well, we're heroes, we have to go and do it." Even though they don't say we're heroes, but that's what the story is. It played into all the archetypes that I like in that kind of storytelling. Like, it's okay to veer off the course of those things when you're doing something different in genre, but when you're doing something like D&D, which is really black and white, it's heroes and villains, good versus evil. But yeah, that broad storytelling I love, and it's that turnaround in that boat. I was like, all right, let's float our way into the 3rd act. It was awesome.
Yeah, and like, D&D is not black and white. They're the anti-heroes. Some of them. Some of them are just living that way because that's the way that things go for them. And like, D&D as a role-playing game can be very therapeutic for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh shit. Okay, I'm not gonna undermine this because I fucking remembered something.
Okay.
And if you watch the movie and you think that getting into the game is something that might help you or something that you're interested in, I would really, really, really encourage you to at least watch a game. Like, don't even watch like a full on game or like get into a campaign that you know nothing about. Like, they're one shots where they're games that you play in one session and then that's it, right? And so just watch a bit. Like, don't worry about the rules. Like, there's so many rules, and the rules are there to help you. Like, different campaigns have different rules that they bring in so that they can make the story better. And like, D&D is a very creative space where anyone who's in it can be considered as a really, like, not considered, but if someone is into D&D and you tell them that you're not creative, is like telling Martin Scorsese you don't know how to make movies. Like, the fuck.
Yeah, no,
But
I
yeah,
totally understand.
I like, there's one character we did not talk about, which is the like the Grey Warrior that they go to when they go and find the helmet in the dragon's lair.
Yeah, the guy from Bridgerton.
Shit, I can't hear you.
The guy from Bridgerton.
Yeah, the hot guy
Bridget.
from yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure the actor's name. Hang on, you keep talking and I'll look it up.
Yeah, he plays a paladin, which is a class of great warriors who are just that. They don't understand sarcasm, and they don't understand anything. They see a world in one straight line, and they can live for as long as they want. So the paladin that we saw could have been like 6,000 years old.
Yeah, it was. I believe it's Reggie Jean Page. Reggie, there's a little one of those little wisps above the E. So maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong, but yeah, Reggie Jean Page. He was in Bridgerton and some other things also. But yeah, my favorite part about him is when when it's just a shot of him walking away.
Yeah.
And Chris Pine's like, he's just walking in a straight line. Is he going to go over the? No, yep, he's going to go over the rock. Oh, like that. That was just, again, that fun humor without being like cutesy and tongue-in-cheek, and he wasn't making fun of him, he was just commenting on the peculiarity of this person. So well, yeah, I think that's sound advice for anybody who feels like this might be something they want to dive into a little bit more. Stand on Addy, he knows what he's talking about. Was there anything else you wanted to mention before we get into question time?
Not entirely. I love that this film exists. Like, before we go, like, I love that this has the ability to bring people together. Like, especially in a world that we live in. Like, we talked about the Harry Potter fans and, you know, the Star Wars fan, especially, like, fans. Like, D&D is such a inclusive community because there's so many classes and people can be so many different things that, like, it's natural for people to be different in D&D, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And that's a beautiful world. And I hope that people get something out of it.
Beautiful. Wonderful sentiments, and perfect way to end our episode. But we do always have some questions. Do we have questions? I better double check that first.
We have one question.
We have one question. Okay, that's all right. Well, let's give it a theme anyway. So one D&D related question. What is it?
It's
Is
not
it
actually
D&D related?
It's not.
It's not.
See, this is what I mean by a lot of people have watched it, but not enough people have watched it.
Sure. That's okay. We'll answer this question, and hopefully people will go back and ask him some more questions about it another time.
And I do feel like if this goes on, like, if this does go to a streaming service now, a lot of people will watch it because it's not that long. It's like 2 hours, and
Yeah, 2 hours and change.
it doesn't feel like 2 hours.
No, not at all. Zips by.
Yeah, the question is, are there any other board games or non-video games that would make interesting films? You go first. I would still say Battleship though.
Battleship. I don't know, actually. Just trying to think. There's a Jumanji game, which is pretty baller. Do you have any idea?
I think the Jumanji came after the film, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that doesn't really count. You know what? I'm not sure. You know what? Let me just have a really quick look here. Let me just have a look at famous board games. Let's see. I can't think of anything.
You know what would be like a really innovative kind of movie? If they made a film about chess, like chess.
Like the game. There's a few movies about chess. Pop-O-Matic Trouble. Sorry. Well, I mean, Catan. Settlers of Catan.
Are those games that you're?
Yeah. Catan's it's sort of like a world building sort of game. I think it's called Catan, or it might be Settlers of Catan. Risk, Sorry, Monopoly. I'm just in Monopoly. Just fucking go to Amazon. Cluedo's already been done. Damn it! I thought I had it in them. Like, yeah, Cluedo, but that's been done 100,000 times. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, there's one called Hero Quest. Yahtzee. Mastermind. Jenga. Could do Jenga. I would like to see I think there's someone's making a Cluedo movie, and I can't remember who it is. Like, it's currently being looked at. Yeah, so I'm going to go with another Cluedo, or Clue, as it's often called. Mousetrap could be fun. Mousetrap could be really fun. It's like just a bunch of people sort of stuck in this insane trap system, and they've got to get out. But yeah, I can't think of any in particular. So let's say that. Let's say another version of Clue and Parcheesi.
Oh, you could make like a Clue movie or like a Clue show, and like have Daniel Craig narrated as Benoit Blanc, just to tie in that thing that he hates Clue because it's a stupid fucking game.
That might be a little bit off-brand, but for him. Do you have any ideas apart from Battleship?
Yeah, I do. I have two, but I have a pitch for one, which is weird because I just thought of it while you were saying it.
All right, go.
So the pitch is for Jenga, but like it's a science fiction future. It's a science fiction like political drama.
Okay.
Where like they're elites, and then they're like normal people, and like their housings are like the Jenga blocks.
Yep.
And like the elites like take out the Jenga pieces every time like something bad happens, and so the people inside are like trying to.
I like it, man.
They're trying to fight the elites by like creating this entire tower that can like tower over every elite building, and then like spread out.
Sold.
Yeah.
I like that idea, man. I like that idea.
Or just do that in like Love, Death, Robots, because that's a good one.
It's a perfect thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There's a free idea for producers of Love, Death, and Robots. Enjoy yourselves. So, well, that's it. You had a second one?
Yeah. My number 2 is actually about I like an actual tabletop role playing game. It is called Mansions and Madness.
Mansions and Madness. All right.
So it's kind of like Knives Out, but definitely not. It's like. Mansion and Madness is like a party goes into like an abandoned mansion that has a lot of it's gothic horror. It is entirely gothic horror.
Dope.
And seeing how well Wednesday did, like you could go like Wednesday, but like actually like fucking R-rated shit.
Mm-hmm.
In Mansion and Madness, like it would be so cool to see like a Minotaur or like a Minotaur with like 8 fucking hands coming out and just one eye, just one bloody eye.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right, we've got two sort of kind of horror franchises just on the outskirts there, just waiting for someone to pick them up. So everybody, give Addy a call. Disney Plus, are you there? Yeah, I'm right here.
Disney Plus would never do that.
No, we can't. We don't own the rights to any of that fucking shit anyway. So
Oh, A24 might call up for the Mansion and Murders things.
Yeah, I don't have a voice for them. Next
That's
week,
all right.
maybe one next week. Awesome. All right, well there you go, folks. D&D, Honor Among Thieves. Go and check it out. Thank you so much for joining us again on the Film Addicts podcast. Please do rate and review wherever you get us, wherever you happen to be. We will greatly appreciate it. And thank you again for coming and joining us on this crazy journey. Season 2, we're back at it. And we'll see you next week for something fun, whatever the fuck that is. I don't know. What's coming?
Yeah, I don't know yet.
We were literally talking about last week when we were recording the anniversary show that we kind of ran out of topics that we knew we wanted to talk about by episode 10. And then now that we've done the X-Men ones, we're like, well, fuck, it's D&D then? Like, it just, whatever it is. So, hey, if you've got a suggestion, send it in. You know, we're happy to investigate and to come back with some hard-hitting film journalism for your asses. And everybody, thank you so much. We cherish you. Addy, you're a gentleman, and it's so good to see you. And we'll be back again.
We'll be back again. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. This is season 2, which is... It's crazy, but let's not talk about it because it would just be... Yeah. We crossed like 300 subscribers, which is insane because like 2 hours ago it was like 200 something. And now and then it was like 300. I was like... I sent the screenshot to you. I was like, we hit 300? The fuck?
Yeah. And it's probably like, in terms of YouTubers and in terms of that, like people who, that probably means nothing. That's probably the most minuscule number, but it means so much to us because we just, like we said last week, we're just here having fun and enjoying each other's friendship and talking to you while we do it. So just to have that happen by accident, that people are enjoying the show, it means the most. So thank you so much, everybody. And remember,
stay amazing and stay safe. And just for this episode, take a chance and roll the dice.